channel. I am Nosxis, your guide to the incredible world of creating with computers. Have you ever wondered how your favorite games, applications, or even this video itself actually works behind the scenes? Or how people build those amazing digital tools that we use every single day? Have you ever wondered about that? Well, today, I'm going to reveal the secret map to building those amazing things. We're going to dive deeper into the core concepts you need to know before you even start writing your first line of code. By the end of this video, I bet you'll be excited to start your own journey into computer programming. Every programmer has to be well planned and executed correctly. Instructions must be in a logical sequence that can be easily understood by the computer. We must make sure that we analyze the problem well before we start writing some codes using programming such as Java programming language. This is why there are 6 key stages in developing a computer program. We have here the problem definition, program design, coding, testing and debugging, documentation, and last but not the least is maintenance. Okay, so those are the key stages in developing a computer program. Okay, now the first step is defining a problem, or what we call problem definition. The problem is thoroughly analyzed in order to determine what is required for its solution. No? We need to begin with recognizing what we need for, or recognizing the need for the information. As we all know, information is one of the very important and primarily used because such information can help us in making good decisions. This information may also be request for a solution to a particular problem. Okay? The programmer must determine what are the data we need and what form they are to be in, what information should the program be generated, and how the data are to be manipulated to produce the specific result that we want. When the problem is defined properly, we can start designing a solution to the problem. This method is called divide and conquer. This sequence of steps for the solution to the problem is called algorithm. It refers to a well-defined procedures or instructions to solve a problem. Now, after the programmer has defined the problem and designed a solution, the next step is to write a program in a specific programming language. This is the part where you actually write the code or actual instructions for the computer using a specific language that you want. Take note that the proposed solution to the problem may limit the choices of languages or programming languages that can be used. What if your program is not working as intended? This is where testing and debugging comes into place. And this is where you test your program to see if it works as expected. And if not, you need to find and fix those mistakes. And we are going to talk more about those mistakes very soon. Okay? And the next stage are the documentation. And documentation consists of written descriptions and explanations of programs and other materials associated with an organization's data processing system. And this is the most important requirements, for success in data processing application. Okay? Now, when you want to use the program or the computer program, there is what we call a documentation, and it works just like a recipe, no? In order to use the program, you need to follow the recipe or the documentation on how to use the program, how to uh, process the data, what are the data needed, and so on and so forth. Okay? Now, this documentation will serve as a guide for programmers and system analysts who must modify or update the existing programs and system procedures. During the implementation of the system, there are some changes on the program that will occur depending on the nature of the system that is being developed. Okay? And this is one of the most important aspects in developing a computer program, because we are not just creating something, no? After we create something, we just let it go. No, we don't do that. Okay, we need to maintain our program to make it run smoothly and improve its features depending on what the errors or bugs that was spotted by the other users using your program. Okay, now let us talk more about some key tools that you will use at every step of this journey. The first one we have here is a program, a list of instructions written in a programming language that a computer can execute. Simply, it is a step-by-step instruction that tells a computer exactly what to do to achieve a certain task. And every application, every game, even the operating system on your phone is just a giant and super complex recipe for the computer to follow. Well, you can't just shout commands at your computer and expect it to understand, right? This is where programming languages comes into place. A programming language is like a special language that we use to talk to computers. And it is similar to how we use the language English or Tagalog to talk to your friends, right? You can expect them to shout something to them and expect them to understand what your language or what you are speaking of, unless they also know what language you are using or what are the vocabulary, the meaning of those words. Okay? Now, let's move on with the bugs. Okay? So, you're following your documentation and suddenly you realize you accidentally type a number instead of letters. So, your program isn't going to accept it as it wasn't programmed to accept numbers, is it? That mistake is what we call a bug. In programming, a bug is simply an error or flaw in your code that causes your program to behave unexpectedly or crash. Don't worry, no? Even the pros or advanced programmer experiences this flaw in their code. Okay? Now, there are a couple of main ways your code can mess up. Okay? We have here the syntax error. And it happens when you don't follow the precise rules and grammar of the programming language. Maybe you forgot a semicolon, a parenthesis, or you misspelled a word. It may cause a syntax error. Okay? Now, for a logical error, it occurs when the code is syntactically correct, but it contains errors in its meaning or logic. Okay? So, the logical error will still let the code runs, but it doesn't understand correctly what you mean, and it will result, or it will reply, or it will display something that is not what you expected it to do, since it doesn't really understand the meaning of what you have written. So the syntax error prevents the code from being compiled or executed, while the logical errors may allow the code to run but produce incorrect results. Okay? So let's have an example or code example of this. So we have here the syntax errors and these mistakes in the structure or grammar of the code. So in this example, the program will not run because we are missing a closing parenthesis and a semicolon. So the grammar is not correct. So the program or the computer won't be able to understand this and it will not run. Okay? While the logical errors in this example, the program will still run since it has a correct grammar and all. Okay? But it produces an incorrect results. Why? Because the logical errors or semantic error, these are the errors that we can find by having misunderstood the meaning of our code. So in this example, we want the code to produce or to display 8 fruits as a total of the apples and oranges. Okay? But instead of addition, we actually put a subtraction. And this will not produce the expected results that we want it to display. So it will have a logical error. But this code will still run. No? It will still continue to run. But the actual display or result is not what we intended or what we want. Okay? So this will result into 2 instead of 8. You see? These concepts aren't that scary at all. When you break them down, you now have a solid foundation for understanding how programs are built and the tools the people use. This is just the beginning of your programming adventure. If you're excited to see these concepts come into life and actually start writing your own simple codes for the computer, then make sure to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next video. In our next one, we're going to dive into the exciting world of Introduction to Java. We'll start seeing how these concepts are applied in a real powerful language. Let me know in the comments below what you were most excited to try building with the code.